My name is Daniel Christian, and today I'll be talking about Power Apps, specifically focusing on the 3D and mixed reality piece. The focus is I come from an infrastructure background, so I am not a developer, and therefore someone like me can do things like Power Apps. Definitely anybody else can do that as well. One of the things I have done is I've worked with Power Apps ever since it was in actually a preview. So I worked with it for a while, worked with the product groups, given them lots of feedback. I come from a SharePoint background, so I was very in tune with InfoPad Designer and SharePoint Designer. So I was able to give a lot of feedback to the product groups to help them make Power Apps what it is today. In addition, I look at the entire Power Platform because I just don't focus on one thing. That just because the way I look at it is it's a very holistic platform, and if you just focus on say Power Apps, then you're missing out on all the Power BI and Power Automate stuff, and vice versa. So I always look at it from a holistic standpoint because that's what completes the circle over there. I like was already mentioned, I have a YouTube channel. So if you just go to YouTube and you just search for Daniel Christian Power Apps, you'll find my information over there. Definitely, always welcome any likes and comments on that. Um, Also, next month I have a 2-day Academy workshop coming up. This is part of the Community Summit North America. So if you're interested, I'll be having a 2-day workshop, and I do basically a whole bunch of things. I'll do Power Apps, Power Automate, and the integration with Power BI. 2-day workshop, and I'll be even touching a little bit on the 3D components piece over there. So if you're interested, go and search for Community Summit North America, and I'll have a 2-day workshop there. Okay, so let's now start talking about introducing the mixed reality in Power Apps. Now, the funny thing was, it was actually introduced on April Fool's Day. It was in 2020 over there. But this really caught my attention because the fact that we can do so much of mixed reality stuff, which, I would say about a year ago, that was actually considered as a very dev heavy type of a topic. But now we can do the whole thing without a single line of code. And the neat thing is because these components are now become part of the Power App, specifically the Power App Studio. I know when I show this image, I actually want you to view it and study this image, because the very fact that you can use a mobile device like a tablet and factor in and do some not just measuring but also do some analysis that, hey, here is a desk, or here's an empty space that I have left over here in this vicinity. There's a workshop room or something. There's a little bit of a space available over there. Can I fit whatever I have in mind right there? And you can do that all from the basis of your tablet. You don't need a measuring tape. You don't actually need to go and get the device, whatever is your material to test it, all from the basis of your tablet or your smartphone. You can do that. So I always like to focus an extra few seconds and see that, okay, focus on what's going on over here. Because the fact that you can use all of these devices to do something which was a very manual process in the past is definitely a huge step forward in the right direction. And the same thing goes over here as well. Measuring is, without using an actual measuring tape is a big functionality over here. And the concept of taking linear and volumetric measurements, which we'll touch a little bit more over there, but that's the feature and the functionality. Communicate better with 3D models. This is actually something which I personally like and enjoy with, because look at again this image for a fact, right? It's a pretty big machinery available over there, and you want to see where that machinery is going to sit in your manufacturing or your factory location over there. And to have that embedded 3D / mixed reality modeling functionality over here really adds that aesthetic view that, hey, I don't need to even Photoshop or manipulate photography to see how this is going to look. I can do it real time over here. So I know sometimes these images look like just a fun slide deck, but really sit and take a look at is what exactly does these images mean over here. Now, obviously, this is in experimental mode right now, and some of the features are actually going into preview over here, but most of these are in experimental mode, which means definitely not production ready. However, I highly, highly recommend that you start playing with it. So far, all the stars are aligned, everything is working. So I really see this moving forward to going into GA. And we've got actually some product group people on this call who will be looking at the comments and helping me answer some of the questions, and they can shed more light on that topic at the end. However, this is going to go out in GA. So I highly recommend that you start playing with it, because besides the fact that it is so cool, it's definitely going to take your user interface and user experience to a whole different level. So still want to call out that this is an experimental mode over there. Now, as always, but wait, there's already an app for that. And what do I mean? So right now, out of the box, if you're especially an iPhone user, an Apple iPhone user, there was already something which was called as a measuring app. So that's why they said if somebody, I go and tell, hey, there's this really cool app that I built, somebody will say, but Daniel, there's already an app for that. So I said, okay, that's a good point. I personally have always been an Apple user. Apple devices have always had my iPhones for that. So I was well aware of this measuring app over here. So what I did is I said, let's just do a little fun, versus comparison over here. And we came up with 3 different criteria, right? First of all, it has to be user friendly. Secondly, can I save and send that measurement info? And then finally, it says I need to have some kind of options, either with either no code or low code, so I can customize this thing. Like if I open up and this app, either way, the Apple's measuring app or the Microsoft's app that I'm going to do, which is the Power App Studio app, can I go ahead and factor in these very 3 simple things over here? So let's do like a fun competition or friendly competition over here. So what I'm going to do is actually, before I even walk you through the slides and everything, I want to demonstrate something to you over here. So I'm going to go and get my the whole screen sharing thing going on here. All right, shows up. You're going to have an opportunity to see my messy office over here. So let me go and now search for the measurement. So this is now the Apple's app. It's pretty savvy. I love the UI and the UX interface over here. By the way, there was a company over there called Snowflake, which is very hilarious because I actually have a Snowflake, and I'm going to use that as an example. If any of you already know, I do musical holiday lights as a hobby. Every year, right after the Thanksgiving Day, my house is lit up. It's not uncommon to have up to 10 cars parked outside, and my house just is lit up, goes on a music theme over there. I have my own radio transmitter, so people just go and dial into my radio station. And so this is just a prop that I use. It's actually a 3-foot snowflake. So that's an example that I'm going to do, as I want to measure what is the width of the snowflake. And this time we're going to do it with the Apple's measuring app. So by default, it is on the measuring one. And let's just go take a look to see what happens. So come over here. I started from this corner, and I'm going to work all the way to the other side. All right. Not bad. I mean, it's a 3.5 feet, so it gives me all the dimensions over there. I can actually go ahead and even take a picture of it. It's all good. And now I've done the measurement. I've actually taken the picture, and this is what I have left. It's great. I'm not, don't take me wrong. It is great. I'm able to do that. I can, add some more coloring to it. I can do, even add text features over here. Go and type in some text. But after that, the only other option I have is to save it to photos. So anything else moving forward, I have to now put in my own functionality. Moving forward means I need to upload this image somewhere. I want to, then in that case, well, I already have my OneDrive app in my phone, so I'll have to use that. So granted, the Apple's measuring does have the functionality to at least measure, but it kind of lacks in the other 2 options, which is it doesn't give me the functionality to upload the app or anything else. It doesn't give me the functionality to even do any light or no coding, enhancements over here. So this is, again, don't take me wrong, this is a fantastic app. I actually love the UI and the UX interface over here. But let's switch over to an app that I already have on the Power App side, all right? So I'm going to come over here now, go to my Power Apps. And I'm going to do is the first one over here. Granted, this is an app that I made, so it's not that aesthetically pleasing as the Apple one. But hey, let's have a little bit of faith. Let's give me a little bit of confidence over here. So I'm going to click on length, all right? And I'm going to measure the distance in that. So far, again, remember, this is in preview mode right now, right? So it's got a little bit of growth to it, but not too bad, all right? So I'm now going to try to do the exact same thing. I'm going to come from one corner, and I want to go and measure. So I go all the way to the other side. I'm going to do the other same thing. I'm going to take a picture of it. And then I'm going to hit submit. So here's something that has happened now. Now, thanks to this mixed realities MR functionality over here, it gives me a few things. I mean, I personally, it was a blank canvas, right? And the whole concept that I say is it's called a blank canvas because then you go and paint the app over there. So what I do is in that functionality, I go ahead and now I have said that, okay, this is, I want to go and capture these things. First of all, what was the length of that? The length is in inches over here. The direction of X, Y, and Z, just hold on to that. I'll be explaining that more in some in a few minutes. But now I can go ahead and see I add a dimension to it. So I can add some description. Measuring the prop. And I'm going to save it. And it's giving me the option to save it, which means I was able to now go ahead and enhance this app a little bit. And here's what happened. Now I don't need to actually take a picture. I mean, save that picture over there. I was able to, use the Power Automate functionality that I have over here, which directly integrates into Power Apps. And here's actually what I did. I was able to go ahead and now take that image and directly, thanks to Power Automate, upload that to my SharePoint image library. And not only was I able to just take that image and put it over there, I got the measurement directly on it. In addition, I also was able to capture that metadata. So let me just go back one more time and actually come here, go to the list view and see 30 inches. I was able to even go and get the description. All the metadata that I was able to just put into the app, I have the functionality to actually do all of that in the app and then upload it to any other data source that I wanted. I just picked SharePoint over here. I could have uploaded that into my OneDrive. I could have uploaded that into my CDS, any of the entities over there. Any of these places I could have gone and put that. And that is the beauty I want to kind of show, that just with this, fun, friendly side-by-side comparison, is that granted, we already have a measuring app from Apple. It's definitely more pleasing from the human eye perspective over there, but it lacked a little bit of enhancement features over there because it lets you take the image, you can paint on the image, but that's it. After that, it is your responsibility to do what you want with the image. However, I, using Power Apps Canvas, can take that to the next level and do literally whatever I wanted. Like I said, I was able to capture all the measurements, and I was able to even put some description over there. So I wanted to set your expectation and show this right at the beginning, that this is the level of functionality that you can do without using a single line of code, thanks to these now 3D and mixed reality components that are available with Power Apps. And that's just one of the ways to do that. So hopefully I have captured your attention now. And let's move forward with this. All right. So let's now first, I want to look at it from both perspectives, the 3D modeling and looking at the mixed reality piece. So with the 3D or the three-dimensional view, when you come to actually testing it and playing with it, one of the things you will need to have is I need images to play with these 3D views, because what you will basically do is you'll actually go into your Power Apps over here. You can always go into Power Apps. You can go into your studio place over here. You can go ahead and actually I meant Power Automate. Oh, Ed, I confused Power Apps with Power Automate. I bet you that made your day.
I'm just sitting here quietly.
Just sitting here quietly. No, so yeah, if I go over here to Power Apps, I go and open up a Canvas app. It goes me into the studio. I pick up a phone layout. And in the phone layout, when you go into the advanced settings over there, you've got to go ahead and turn on the functionality. So that's one of the first things that you got to do from playing and testing around. But the other thing that you have to do is you need to actually have these 3D models to play around with. And where the heck do I find these 3D models? Well, let me just scroll down over here because I want to show you that the mixed reality features, that's the one that you want to turn on over here. The geospatial features is a little bit outside the scope of this one, but I do want to point out one thing. Many a times people have asked me is that, hey, in order for the mixed reality to work specifically with the measurements and its X, Y, and Z coordinates, do I need the geospatial features also turned on? And the answer to that is no, you do not. You just need mixed reality turned on over here. And for that, you got to go to advanced settings, you got to go to mixed reality features, turn it on, and then only after do you do that will it start showing up over here. So when you come over here, you will actually see mixed reality. So this will only show up after you've turned that on. So that's one of the first things I wanted to show. Second thing is, where do I get these images? And the beauty of that is you already have it on your Windows 10, and that's called Microsoft 3D View over there. So in your Microsoft 3D Viewer, it already comes with the functionality to build 3D models over there. But one of the things that I like is it already has 3D models in it. And the beauty is that right now, when it comes to playing with Power Apps and these 3D components over there, it is a little bit touchy as far as the file type that you use. There's an extension that it kind of prefers. And so 3D Viewer already gives you that extension. So I'm going to just pause over here and let's jump in straight into come over here and I'm going to search for 3D right here. I already have the app. It comes free with Windows 10. So if you don't have it, you just go ahead and search for it. It opens up in your app and you can go ahead and install it. It is absolutely free. So I go to 3D Builder over here. It opens it up. And then after now, you can go ahead and say, I want to build a new screen. And in the new screen, you can go ahead and say add. And here is your 3D library. And it gives you a whole bunch of different options for your 3D libraries over here. And just for making sake of simplicity, I'm going to just go ahead and select a chair over here. So it's going ahead and loading the files. Now, while it's loading the file, I do want to call out that these 3D files can actually be sometimes really big. Specifically, the file extension GLB. Their file sizes can actually be pretty big. And if you go and search on some of these third-party websites, I've seen some 3D image files that are in 100, 200 megs over there. Now, keep that in mind that that could be the single reason for your app performance to be affected. There's workarounds for that, where you just show the images, but that's a whole separate session altogether. I just want to call that out that as there's improvements happening on these 3D images over here, their file sizes can be really big. So just kind of keep that in mind. So I've gone ahead and gotten a simple image over here. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to do a save as. And when I do a save as, voila, I have that GLB format. So you don't have to go binging and Googling for any of this. Go find files. You already have it on your Windows 10 laptop, and that's right there. You've got a bunch of files to play with. And when you save it, just save it as the GLB format, because that's the one Power App seems to favor the most over there, right? So I just want to kind of call that out, is that it's a Windows and Microsoft has done a fantastic job for you to even start playing and testing, because everything's already on your laptop. So 3 data sources that I'm going to talk about over here. The first data, and right now, let me back up. The 3 data sources that work well to store these GLB files that Power Apps recognize as well are these 3 over there. It works well with SharePoint Online, it works well with OneDrive, and it works well with GitHub. And I have tested all 3 of them and they work fine. You have no authentication problems over there. The app was able to go ahead and connect to it. Each of the connectors work really well. The only thing is on the GitHub side, it is a little bit new. So you've got to be at least familiar to play with GitHub over there, where you go ahead and store the file and things like that. So it's just, you got to get familiar with that. SharePoint Online and OneDrive pretty much comes secondary nature to even the everyday user. So you can go ahead and store that over there. So let me just pause and actually show you where I've stored that in my areas. So on my SharePoint side, I come over here and I've got actually a site. It's a pretty simple SharePoint Online site. And it is actually just a list. That's all I have. As these are the 4 different props I have, and each of them actually come as an attachment. So all I've done is put it as a list. You could put that as a image library or document library, but that's basically how it is on my SharePoint side. Now I start off with the SharePoint because that's the easier one. Let's switch over to OneDrive, because if you want to use OneDrive, there's a little bit of extra work involved. Besides the fact that I've gone ahead and put in the GLB files over here, you've also got to put in this data reference spreadsheet. And that's where things get a little bit interesting. I was, thanks to the product group, I learned, and this was a little bit of a rookie mistake as well. What I was doing was, you got to give a relative location of where the files are. Let me explain what that means. So if I put that Excel spreadsheet in the same folder as where my files are, your folders, your URL, which is actually the image model, just starts with this dot backslash and then the file over there. Now, if you had put it in a separate folder, in a completely separate subfolder level, then you'll have to go ahead and put all that URLs over here. So that's one thing I just want to call that out, is that the way you put your location, directory location over here is very relative to where that Excel spreadsheet sits. Second thing is the file name. The top column name over here. Power Apps needs to understand that, hey, when you're referencing this column, what is it? Because if you just put 3D model over here, and if you have this information, it'll just use that as a text. It doesn't even factor that as a URL. It just uses it as a text. But the way the Excel spreadsheet, if you put this brackets, open brackets, image, close brackets, then Power Apps understands that, hey, this is an image, so I'm going to take this information in as an image over here. So Power Apps sees all the information in this column as an image, then and this images are basically just the location of that. So that's the little bit of information that you need to know on the OneDrive side. Pretty simple. Again, not a single line of code involved, but something that you need to be aware of. Now, GitHub, for you, if people are already familiar with GitHub, this is going to be so intuitive to you and secondary nature. Basically, you just have to create a repository, and in that repository, you go ahead and drop all of these information over here, and then you get, all the files over here, and then you also go ahead and grab the URLs. The URLs are pretty straightforward. You actually see them show up in the bottom over here. Yeah, there's a few permission things here and there that you got to take care of in GitHub, but pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And if you don't want to be messing around with any of this, you've already good with OneDrive and with SharePoint over there. Start playing around with that area. So I just wanted to kind of focus on that for a little bit. Now let's go and start just playing with it, right? So say I want to actually open up a app, and we'll just build a little bit of it. Let me go ahead and drop that app, and let me just drop some of those components over there, so you just see how this thing works. And then once you kind of understand that, okay, these are the properties and these are settings, I'll switch over to the app that I already have. So in this section now, we're going to focus on just the 3D piece over there. And there's the three-dimensional measurement piece over here. So again, I open up the new app. I'm intentionally not going to save it. But as you all know, if you're building apps, open it up. The first thing you do is you name it and you save it, because otherwise you will lose it. You lose all your work. Since this is a demo, I'm not going to go and do any of that. So since I've turned on that functionality, now when I come over here on the insert, I see that mixed reality. And I have these three options over here. Also in the media section, if you scroll all the way down, you will see the view in 3D over here. So that is the one that I'll be focusing later, but I do want to call that out, that it shows also, and the one I'm going to talk about is viewing it in 3D. So in the mixed reality one over here, the measurement is what I'm going to talk about. And there's quite a few different types of measurements. First of all is in the measurement type over here, you can see there's actually 4 different types. There's the area, distance, volume, and area and volume. Now, the area and volume is the exact same as the area and the volume. We'll actually, if you have time, you can ask the product groups what was their thought process to go and change that over there. But from an end user perspective, it's actually the same, because it goes ahead and pulls the same properties. But from an everyday playing around perspective, there's 3 different things that you want to, the type of measurements that I'd be interested in. It is the distance, right? The one example that I showed you, that was literally a distance. Area, again, is just a 2-dimensional thing, right? Length and breadth. And then volume is a 3-dimensional thing over there. So that's why you've got all these different functionalities. But the other thing that I like is that it's able to give you choose the units of measurement of how you want it over there. This is something that the Apple measurement app did not give you that functionality. You just used whatever the option that it gave, and that's it. But when you start building your own apps, you've got this flexibility to go ahead and start using all of these things over here. So that's basically how you just go ahead and drop this control, and it's as simple as that. But I'll go ahead and switch over to some of the ones that I already have. So what I've done is I've actually been playing around with area, length, volume, and air and volume. So let me actually kind of switch over back again, and you can see some of these apps that are done. What I cannot do is I can't actually go and test it over here, because if I do that, it's going to say mixed reality supported devices required. Again, that's a very moment, because you'd need a device. Let me again switch back to my device. I need to close this, open it up again, and let's do some more measurements. Open that up. Open there. Fun with mixed reality measurement. So let's do the first one, which is area. So on the area, I'm going to actually jump around and banging around over here. So this one, it's just a plank of wood is basically what it is, but it's a good thing to do length and breadth. So I'm going to do here, there. And I like the way that it's able to go ahead and actually, let me take a picture of it. I can go ahead and do that. Submit. And the couple of things that I want to show over here is that in the measurement that I did right here, it gave me meters. It also gave me the length. And important thing is it gave me an area. So how did I do that? I'll actually focus a little bit more on that, but I want to talk about these segments. So what exactly is a segment? So to talk about that, I want to jump in a little bit into how this whole area, length, and area works. So length, and when it comes to the measurement, it focuses based on these segments over here. So as you can see, there's 4 segments. The image that I just took, like the image that I just showed you, this has 4 different segments. So what exactly is a segment? The segment is each of these 4 different pieces over here. And it's important that you understand that, because when you start thinking about calculation, when you get the whole concept over here, becomes very intuitive that, okay, if I want to just do area, it's basically just length and breadth. So I just take 2 of these segments, the ones that are closest to each other, and I can go ahead and just do multiplications, and that's how I get the area. But it's very important that you understand this terminology, is that when Daniel is saying segments, what he means, the segment is one section of that measurement. And it could be anything. It could be the measuring of this ways just for an area. It could be even going up on the Y scale over there for the volume. That's the important thing of the segment over there. Now, in the measurements and the measure details that I showed you, there were actually a couple of things that I already pointed out, but I do want to go through that. Length in this thing is actually the sum of all the segments. So when I was showing the example again back over here, went away in my phone. I'll turn it off on again. The length was basically automatically calculating all those 4 segments over there. The unit, it gave me the option to go ahead and say centimeters, meters, and things like that. Now, there was also something called as measurement details. And in the measurement details, I can do a total distance of each segment. So it's important that you understand that, because there are segments and there's distance, and each of them actually have a terminology. Now, the other thing I want you to understand is that there's distance, which is the total distance, almost like the length of each of the segments, but there's also direction, because that's when the Y comes up over there. So there's the X and the Y, which you use for um, measuring the area, but you also have direction, and that direction is a vector way. So if you remember back from your high school over there, there's the scalars, because the scalar is like the length or the area, but the moment you factor in volume, you are using that vector direction over there. So the beauty of when the product, right now, this is something I really liked, is that they kind of factored in all of these dimensions criteria right off the bat, and they've already provided that in the app, in the component over there, because when I'm doing the measurements over here, it automatically has all that built in. And granted, it will be a lot more easier, hint, hint, the product group, that if it automatically smart enough to, measure the area or measure the volume, but they've already given you all the parameters that you need, all the measuring tools and everything that you need. You already do all of that. And then after that, you just do the math and you get all that. You're able to at least, build some of that stuff over here. So actually, I was actually going a little bit, yeah, I went way too fast over there. So let me go back to that app, because I want to actually show you in the app itself. Let's talk a little bit more on that. Just open up, that's fine. Go back to the measuring one. It kicked me out. Let me go back and open it up on my phone app. Let's see if it opens up here. Okay, so this measurement that we did over here was of the scalar one, right? Because it was length and breadth. But what I like is that the 4 segments that you see over here, it is capturing information of all of those 4 ones. Because what you see here is actually a gallery. And watch this. I'm just scrolling it on my phone, and I have got data. And this is what I love about how they've planned ahead of time. So each of the segments, as you can see, there's 4 segments over here. So I've got the individual ones over there. I've got the 0.22. So basically this one, that one, that one, and that one. I was able to measure it, and I've got all the 4 segments over there. So when I did the length, it was actually pretty simple. The length was basically a sum of all of those things over there. That's how I got the length. And then if now that you've already understood, okay, Daniel was able to get the length because he just took the sum of all of these individual lengths. I just went ahead and did a sum for that. So how did Daniel get the area? Well, what I did was I took the first segment and I took the last segment, because those are actually built-in functionalities in Power Apps, and I just multiplied the two, and that's how I got the area. So I know if you sit down and actually think about it and use the common math over there, you can go ahead and do all the the calculations that you need to do all of this. Granted, it would be nice for the app to automatically do that, but what I really love is that with this simple components that are available, they've already provided you all the functionality, all the data and all the measurements have already been taken. But let's actually just not stop there, because I want to go back and do one more measurement, and that is the volume. So I'm going to go and now do measurement of the volume. And let me make sure I don't bang around again. So let's just pretend that I've got a block over here of some kind. So I'm going to do the same thing. All right, got that. And now I go one more above. So I've got that. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of it, submit it. In here, as you can see, there is still I want to show you one of the things which I myself found out was that even though I had 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth one, it still only counted as 4 segments. This is something I actually brought up to the product group. They were well aware of it, and I just said that, hey, if you get able to get that segment over there, then that can actually help me do with some calculations, because what they're already capturing it. As you can see, that information is already provided, but when I go ahead and dump all those segments, I only get 4. But technically, I'm still getting 5 because I've also got the height. So even though when I go and capture the data and I'm dumping it in the gallery, I only see 4 segments, but the fifth segment, which is the height, I'm already picking that up over there. So again, it doesn't show up in the gallery when I'm going and capturing all the data, but technically the app and the component is still capturing it over there. This is a discussion I had with the product group. They actually understood when I was showing them some of these scenarios, and I said that, hey, I could actually use, as long as I see all the data in the gallery over here, I could do my own math and come up with more scenarios over there. And when they actually understood that, they said, hey, this is actually a great idea. As you can see, we've already been capturing the data over here. But so in the future, they may be adding that, something that has brought that to their attention over there. But all in all, this is basically it. Like, I can go ahead and now capture the volume, and I can go ahead and capture the area. I can also go and do the length. The length was the first demo that I did over there. And this is all directly into that Power App side over there. Now I want to switch gears actually and jump straight into the fun 3D piece over here. Now again, as a recap, in the 3D piece, remember where I got the image? The image was actually from the 3D viewer one over here. That's where I went and got the images. In this demo, I went ahead and actually put that into the GitHub over there. And anytime when I'm clicking on these, you'll actually see my URLs will show up over there. So let's actually first look at just viewing a model, okay? Because there's 2 different types I want to show you. One is you view the model directly inside the app. And then after that, those models, you also use it in a mixed reality format. So I come over here, and I'm going to click on those view the mixed reality ones. And here are the 3 that I have: chair, roundtable, human skull, gazebo, all available in that place over there. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually doing that in my app, and I'm going to make it a little bigger. And you can right now, I'm just playing around in my app, but you can see it on my screen of how seamless this is. And it really, it's actually just fun to play with. Because almost when I'm just, the chair and the gazebo are my 2 personal favorites. Because when I come in closer, you can see the texture of the chair. I mean, just the way the material just blends in, and as I flow in over here, it's like you almost feel your mind is messing with you, saying that you're almost feeling it over there. But it is 3D in its full essence over there. It literally is 3D away, because right now that's all you're doing is 3D. All right, let's go and take a look at the gazebo one. So as you can see, it is loading. And this is what I was telling you, is that sometimes some of those GLB files or 3D files, they can be really big. And this is where you'll have a problem, is that file loading over there. But that's just for another day. So here is the gazebo one. I'm going to refresh that again, make it a little bigger. And I can go into the gazebo. and I can look around inside it, move around and stuff like that. So it's pretty neat, fun to look around with and play around with. But I want to take this to the next level. And why? Because Power Apps lets me do that. I'm going to view it in mixed reality mode. So I've come over here and I'm going to actually now go and select the gazebo. I've selected it. Let's go look at it in view in mixed reality mode. So it's loading. And now you will see the mess in my office. So I'm going to make sure it just first figures out my office. So it's just figuring everything out. And I'm going to say tap here. And voila, I am in the gazebo. I have a full gazebo in my office right now. And as you can see, as I'm walking around, I'm looking around. I'm actually inside the gazebo. It is you can see my laptop over there, the entrance and the exit. Down over here, the wooden flooring. I can go look up over here. I can see the rooftop. I can see those nice, moldings area over there. I can see the arches. But this is the whole big wow factor of that mixed reality, because I was able to look at the 3D models piece over there, but I'm also able to go ahead and look at it directly from the from the mixed reality mode over there directly in. I can go and take pictures if I'm doing any measurements, all over there directly working on that side over there. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but personally, it's just cool to play with it. But think about all these great functionalities that you can do with all of the these apps over there. Because the example which I had brought back in this in the slide deck over here, this one is one of my personal favorite examples. Like, you're actually going to put a machinery in your factory somewhere, or it could just be another asset in your building somewhere. Instead of you taking a picture of the machinery, taking a picture of that location, and then photoshopping it and doing some massaging of your images, you can use this to see real time how this is going to work over here. This concept really resonates. That this is the and I showed both the examples. I showed the image of that gazebo, just how that image looks, but then we went as a 3D model, but then we went ahead and rendered it into mixed reality, and right there we were able to go ahead and add that. And I demonstrated I had a full-blown gazebo in my office, and I just think that's pretty cool over there. So I want to actually go ahead and we showed the app. We were able to go ahead and even talk about it, but there's a few little things that I do want to call out. The fact because you can end with that, it is a little picky about the 3D files. I've already called that out. GLBs are the ones that it likes right now. Even with GLBs though, your file sizes may be really big, so kind of keep that in mind over there. Have had quite a good success with putting them in SharePoint and OneDrive. So that just the performance piece over there. At the end of the day, right now, also when I'm testing it in my app, it's running over my Wi-Fi, so it's got you got to factor all of that in. It's not just the image size, it's not just the app, but there are other variables, which is the internet speed over there as well. Other thing is the 3D measurement. Now, if you notice that when I was measuring, creating the 3D measurement on that the wooden plank that I have over here, I measured it from the bottom to the top, because that's the only way you can do it right now. And the reason for, and I brought that up to their attention over there. They said, again, they always welcome all great ideas over here. They welcome any ideas. And I factor that in and say, hey, there might be scenarios where I actually want to measure it from the top to the bottom, like a wooden box. Any box that you have will be a great example, right? Because you have all the measurements, the area, you go ahead and get it from the top, and then you go and measure the height. So the Z's right now only go from the bottom to the top. That's something that they'll be hopefully changing in the future. Now, the last thing was actually something to kind of replicate what we did on the Apple side. So what happened was, when I opened up on the Apple's measurement, I clicked on it and it directly went into the viewing, where I view whichever is the surface area that I want to measure. That functionality was not possible in Power Apps, because in Power Apps I had to open up the app, I had to click on the control, and then it went directly into the app in the viewing thing over there. So I had that one little extra step that I had to do, was open up the app and then click on the control over there. And what I noticed was the 3D control did not have the on start, which means I wasn't able to add the 3D control to the on start. But if the app opened up, I would, if that functionality was available directly on the on start of the app, it would switch straight into the 3D control over there. that's just not functional right now. So I've gone ahead and submitted that request over there as well. So this was actually a whole thing that I wanted to cover up. And just as a quick recap, we went ahead and talked about the two different sections, right? We broke this down into the 3D controls piece over there. We also broke this down into the measurements. We were able to go and do just distance or the length. Then we were able to do a two-dimensional, which was the area. And then we went three-dimensional, which was the volume over there. So I covered that. We also went and looked at the 3D controls. And in 3D controls, we walked through a whole bunch of things. I even told you that the 3D viewer tool is available in Windows 10. You don't have to go hunting for finding demo images. It's already available on your Windows 10 laptop over there. Go ahead and get examples. Remember that GLB is the format that it tends to like a little bit more over there. And then I've also showed that the 3D storage places that are available right now, which works well at GitHub, OneDrive, SharePoint. And then with those 3D controls, you can have the functionality just to view that 3D directly in the app, but you can do mixed reality, where you can actually show that gazebo example that I did is put the gazebo in your office or wherever you want, and you can do a whole bunch of these fun other things with the mixed reality functionality over there. Now, everything that I showed you, I've actually gone through, I have that detailed in 2 blogs over there. So if you go to my YouTube channel, I've walked you through, because these are the apps I just walked you, I showed you the app, this is how it works, everything's good. But in my blogs, I've actually walked you through how to build it, including how to go and get that apps and store it. The little tidbits that I was sharing, that your file location, especially when you're storing it in OneDrive, make sure that you have the URL path correct. I've explained all of that in the blog over there. And then finally, I also have some helpful links over here. I'll be sharing the slide deck, obviously, with your team, so you guys can have all these links and everything. But these are the helpful links. There's some great blogs available, introduction to mixed reality, and so on and so forth. And then also how the component view and mixed reality works over there.